What's the consequence when walls of deceit come crashing down in a family built on trust? When honesty is pulled kicking and screaming into the harsh light of day in a court of law? Reputations are ruined, friendships are broken, and double lives are exposed. We present to you today the trial that nobody ever imagined would occur, where Robyn's biggest secret, a house of deceit, risks reducing everything to rubble, and the women leading the charge, Meri and Janelle, with proof keener than any knife. This isn't a case, it's an accounting. The courtroom was quiet, but not because it was peaceful. It was tension, heavy and crushing pressure that pushed down each chest, forcing shallow breaths, making the air itself feel heavy with anticipation. They arrived early, before the hearing was even scheduled, filling the gallery so that every seat was filled. Reporters leaned out as far as they could with pens poised. Photographers crouched low, cameras set and hungry. Everyone knew that this was not going to be another hearing. This was history being created, the kind of case whispered in hushed tones many years from now after the gavel had fallen. Amidst it all, Robyn Brown sat in the middle, her hand trembled, hidden under the smooth oak of the defense table, but the curl of her lip betrayed her cool demeanor. She was always the quiet one, the reserved one, the last one to arrive, and the most favored by Kody. Today, however, she was not the quiet one. She was the accused. Facing her, Meri and Janelle sat as one. Their backs straight, shoulders braced, posture rigid. The years of unspoken pain of being decried and ridiculed had hardened them into something that could never be shattered. They were not bitter ex-wives. They were warriors of truth. And today the truth was a sword sharper than any blade. The babe's voice thundered out, "All rise." The judge appeared, his black robes swirling around him like a cloud in the courtroom. With a firm snap, his gavel struck wood. Order in the court, he asserted, his voice harsh and deep. The murmur died. The trial was underway. Robyn's lawyer leaned in, his voice low and rushed, but she barely heard him. Her eye drifted towards Kody, who sat rigidly behind her. He did not glance at her. His jaw was clenched, his eyes distant, as if he was already bracing himself for the landslide that came to sweep them both away. For the first time in years, she felt alone, horribly alone. Meri rose, her voice measured, but there was a note of steel underlying it. "Your Honor," she began, "we are here today because the defendant, Robyn Brown, willfully and knowingly hid property, a property purchased not for the family, but for herself. A secret house in Plainview, built on funds that belong to all of us." Gasps filled the gallery. The word secret house thundered like thunder, bouncing off marble walls, leaving behind a trail of shivers. The judge shoved his glasses up his nose. "Continue." Janelle stood, slow and deliberate, the tile floor ringing out sharply beneath her heels. She carried a heavy envelope with her, its edges folded from the weight of truth contained within. "This envelope," she said, holding it aloft, "contains documents, mortgage documents, deeds, transfers, all relating to a house Robyn Brown kept hidden. A home she swore did not exist." She set the envelope on the table with evidence. The bafe cracked the seal and extracted what lay inside. Crinkles of paper sounded as he set them in front of the judge. There was a muted silence. All eyes followed the chain of ink and signatures that spelled the word betrayal. Robyn turned pale. She leaned forward over her lawyer once more, whispering voice now frantic, but the lawyer's eyes darted. Hesitation, uncertainty. Even he sensed the walls closing in. Meri's words cut sharp through the silence. For years, Robyn preached unity. For years, she preached loyalty. But when she preached, she constructed another life in the shadows, another home, a fortress in which she could shelter away from us all. Reporters wrote, cameras snapped, and rumors flew like wildfire. The picture of the ideal devoted wife was disintegrating in their gazes. The gavel of the judge fell. "We'll hear testimony." The first witness was summoned, a real estate agent, her face stern as she adjusted her blazer. She was sworn in, then turned to face the courtroom. Yes, she promised, voice steady. Robyn Brown purchased the property. She wanted it kept secret. She insisted that no one, not even family members, be told of the sale. A chorus of gasps swept through the gallery. Robyn's head slumped forward, eyes screwed shut. Janelle crouched forward over the judge. Your Honor, these are not angry conjectures. These are facts, paper trails, witness testimony, unassailable evidence. Robyn's lawyer finally rose to her feet, her voice defensive. Personal matters, but the judge held up his hand, silencing him. Personal reasons are not excused by concealment. We will continue. The tension twisted tighter like a rope drawn tight. And that is when it went down, when the hook of the trial caught in every staring heart. What if the one woman the family had trusted the most had been making her escape all along? What if all those tears, all the pleading for reconciliation were just a facade of a life lived behind a screen of secrecy? The house does exist. The papers do exist. But whatever comes next will blow this courtroom wide open because the biggest bombshell has yet to be dropped. The second witness was called a bank official. He stepped forward, his hands clasped together, his tone neutral, but weighted with authority. Yes, Your Honor, he stated, we processed transfers into a private account under Robyn Brown's name. These funds were directly traced to the mortgage payments on the property. Meri's jaw tightened. Janelle's eyes flashed with silent fire. The gallery hummed again, murmurs like waves crashing. Robyn's lips parted in protest, but nothing came out. Her attorney placed a hand on her arm, cautioning her to remain quiet, but her body didn't cooperate. Her shoulders jerked, her face pale. Meri stood up again. This is not about a home, Your Honor. This is about betrayal, about a family decimated by secrets, about broken trust. We gave her everything. We stood by her, and, as we contributed, she built a kingdom of deception around herself. Her voice cracked, not with weakness, but with a raw emotion that lanced through the room. Gallery-goers leaned forward, eyes upon her. The judge made notes, his expression neutral. And then Janelle edged closer, voice low, measured. We will reveal that not only bought Robyn this house, she was going to settle there forever, leaving the rest of us to fall apart. This was not secrecy. This was devotion disguising itself as abandonment. The words hurt like a slap. The room gasped. The pens of the reporter wrote faster, and Robyn lost it finally. Not true, she said, standing up, not true. The gavel cracked of the judge. Order, sit down, Mrs. Brown. But too late. The mask was splitting. The cracks were starting to show. The gallery felt her desperation, her hysteria. And with each throbbing silence, the pressure of the truth crushed down harder, louder, more irrepressible. She swore an oath of oneness while plotting apartness. She swore an oath of allegiance while laying down a path of dishonesty. And as the evidence piles higher, one question weighs more. What else is she lying? Because if she's lying about a house, what's to stop her from lying about all of it? The judge adjourned. The courtroom burst into whispers and rumor. Reporters rushed to the phones, cameras trained on Robyn's white, trembling face. Meri and Janelle did not move. They sat there stone still, calm, their gazes unwavering on the documents spread on the table. To them, this was not just justice. It was vindication. Behind them, Kody came to life at last. He got up, his granite-featured face unwavering. His eyes lingered on Robyn for an icy moment before he strode away, unworded. The silence of his departure spoke volumes. Robyn slumped forward in her chair, hands fumbling wildly for the edge of the table. Her lawyer murmured, desperate, but her ears rang to the sound of betrayal echoing in the walls. The trial was just beginning. This was only the tip of the iceberg. The house is exposed, the deceit unrolled, but the trial has hardly opened its mouth. What's to come will be darker, more acerbic, and more dangerous because Meri and Janelle have yet to produce their most deadly proof. Recess was finished. The judge returned. The gavel came down again. Meri stood up. Your Honor, at the beginning of this case, we swore that the truth would come out. Now the evidence speaks for itself. But the truth goes further still. In Session 2, we would find out the reason why the secret house was hidden, why Robyn kept it a secret, what she planned to do with it, and how she violated not only her family, but the very fabric of trust that held us together. The judge nodded, his face bearing the weight of the moment. The gallery leaned forward. Reporters gripped their pens tightly. Robyn's body fell beneath the crushing weight of certainty. And when the gavel dropped once again for the day, its voice came not just as closure, but as a warning. The secret house has been revealed. Secrets don't travel alone, though. They breed, multiply, and turn malignant. Robyn's house is merely the beginning. What Meri and Janelle are going to disclose next will shake the courtroom to its core. The courtroom erupted with the smell of fine wood and aged secrets. As soon as the gavel cracked to call in the second session, the gallery moved forward, hungry and agitated. They had already witnessed the secret house of Robyn. They had witnessed the deeds, the papers, the accusatory truth. But now, everybody needed to know the one thing which hung like a knife over them all. Why? Why had Robyn done so much to keep this house hidden? Why go and risk everything? Robyn sat rigid, face pale, lips trembling as though each pulse was a sledge against her heart. Her lawyer talked softly, rushing through papers, and she heard none of that. Her eyes darted to the door, half expecting Kody to return, half hoping he wouldn't. He hadn't spoken to her since the recess. The silence was the greatest insult of all. Meri rose, her serenity as solid as tone. "Your Honor," she began, her voice echoing around the room. "We have determined already that the defendant purchased and concealed a house. But the court deserves to know why. Because motive without cover is pointless, and Robyn's motive wasn't selfish at all. It was disastrous." The gallery changed. Whispers circulated, cameras clicked. The judge leaned forward, fingers together. "Go on." Janelle got up, her eyes on Robyn with quiet fire. She was holding another envelope, this one thicker than the first one. In this document, she revealed our letters, personal transactions, and financial transactions that show the true picture. Robyn's secret address was no accident. It was not an alternative home. It was her way out. Gasp resounded through the gallery. One woman clutched at her chest. A reporter flung his pen on the floor. Robyn's head snapped up, eyes wide with denial, pleading, shaking. "That's a lie," she hissed, but her voice cracked. The judge raised a hand. "Order, go on." Janelle opened the file. The first paper was held aloft. It wasn't a deed or a bank statement. It was an email that had been printed out, highlighted, damning. "This," she said, her voice gentle, "is a letter from Robyn to a real actual realtor 18 months ago. In it, she asks about schools in the neighborhood, community privacy, and literally says she needs somewhere where she could start anew quietly without interference." The words burned into the room like fire on dry wood. The gallery gasped once more. Robyn shook her head wildly, mouthing, "No, no, no," as her attorney attempted to protest, but the judge cut him down with a fierce stare. Meri's tone cut in, level and precise. "While we built a family, while we fought to live, she built a secret future, one that did not have us in it, one that betrayed us." The air in the room chilled. The reporters scribbled more feverishly. All the faces in the courtroom were shocked, as if they too had been betrayed. The next witness was summoned, a close family friend, uncertain, fidgeting uncomfortably on the stand. "Yes," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Robyn talked to me about the house. She'd said it was hers, that she couldn't take any more of the drama, that she needed a place to run if things with Kody or the family ever broke down. She begged me not to tell. I didn't know it would come to this." Robyn's mouth hung open in silent horror. She scratched at the table with both palms, nails scraping across the slick surface. The judge nodded gravely. "Let the record show the testimony." The friend returned to the row, face streaming with tears. The gallery buzzed again, more insistently. Every whisper contained the same word. "Escape." Janelle stepped forward. Her voice measured. Every syllable a knife. The house was not a home. It was a lie disguised as a fallback. Robyn used family money. Money that was ours all along to pay for her freedom and trap the rest of us in lies. The judge leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "Mrs. Brown," he said, addressing Robyn, "do you deny this?" Robyn rose, trembling, her voice cracking. "I just wanted protection. I just wanted a roof over my children's heads in case everything fell apart. I wasn't being disloyal. I was protecting them." But the gallery was not sure. The quiet that followed her words was heavy, incredulous. Even her lawyer didn't appear to believe her. Meri seized the moment. Pilfered trust-based safety is not protection. It is abandonment. She did not keep her children protected. She left the rest of us to fend for ourselves. The words strike like thunder. Consider giving everything to someone. Your trust, your family, your sacrifices, only to learn that they were planning their escape the entire time. The secret house was more than wood and nails. It was Robyn's plan to walk away from it all, leaving havoc in her wake. But if that was her plan, what else has she kept hidden? The courtroom dropped into a thick tension. The judge called the next piece of evidence bank statements with withdrawals timed during Kody's leaves. Cash flowed without explanation. These were withdrawals, said Janelle, pointing at the numbers plucked directly from the joint account. Money we thought was for family expenditures, but instead it was quietly siphoned off strategically to support the undercover lifestyle. Kody leaned forward for the first time, jaw clenched harder, face writhing in suppressed rage. The cameras caught it. The crowd saw it. The man who had stood by Robyn without question was now sitting frozen, his face showing nothing but disgust. Robyn saw it too. Her eyes widened, her voice trembling. "Kody, please." He didn't respond. The judge asked another witness to come forward, a contractor. He assured them of work on the secret house, new security mechanisms, tall fences, privacy locks. She had explained she needed it entirely private. No visiting of family members, no disturbances, just her and the children. The words pierced like swords. Meri's voice became shrill and unyielding. This was not a house. It was a fortress of deception constructed when she met us eye to eye, vowing oneness. The gallery erupted. The gavel of the judge silenced them. But more loudly than the gavel was the truth. The secret house was a house no more. It was a declaration. Robyn was preparing to sever them, to vanish into her isolationist stronghold, while Meri and Janelle would be left to carry the bag for betrayal. But did she build an escape? If she built an alibi, the answer is going to unwind in a manner no one saw coming. The day lengthened into an exchange of words and evidence. Robyn's lawyer worked hard to present her intentions as maternal, defensive, even heroic, but every contention was dismantled by documents, witnesses, and timeline. Finally, Meri presented the day's closing remarks. She stood firmly, her voice strong, but with passion. This was never ever about property or money or even a house. This was about betrayal. While we trusted, she lied. While we gave, she took. The house had been her sanctuary, but it would prove to be her destruction. The judge nodded, assimilating each word. The gallery buzzed, the air charged. Robyn slumped back in her chair, her face hidden in her hands, her shoulders shook with silent terrors. The lady who had originally been the object of the family's sympathy now sat bereft of that sympathy brought out by the people she had despised. The secret house has been laid bare, the motive revealed, but the best is yet to come, for Meri and Janelle are hardly done. They have other files, witnesses, secrets darker than the house itself. And tomorrow, when the trial continues, Robyn will face something far worse. Her own words against her. The gavel dropped again. The session was over. Reporters mobbed the steps outside, shouting questions, cameras snapping away, and flashes of light. "Why did you hide the house, Robyn? Did you mean to leave Kody behind? What else are you hiding?" Robyn said nothing, face concealed as she was released. Her lawyer complained. No word, but silence failed to allay the storm. Within, Meri and Janelle gathered their papers. They did not smile. They did not smirk. They merely exchanged a silent nod. Justice was not about triumph. It was about closure, and they were closing in on it. The secret house was merely the start. Now the motive is unveiled. Robyn's plan of escape. But the storm is by no means yet over. In the next session, the most startling evidence so far will take the stand. Evidence that will not only reveal Robyn's falsehoods, but reduce the very core of her defense to cinders. The courtroom was filled to anticipation. As the third session began, the gallery was now filled to its capacity. Working individuals who had come in on their day off, overnight reporting journalists, and even passers-by who had never given a thought to the Brown family prior to all this. Hints of a hidden house were making the front pages. The heir was boldly accused. They all knew today would be different from the rest. The evidence had borne witness. The witnesses had testified. But Meri and Janelle had promised now to offer something more damning than bank statements and paperwork. They were going to let Robyn speak herself into guilt. The bailiff's voice cut through the hubbub. "Rise," the judge emerged, his dark robe a striking contrast to the morning light streaming through large windows. He brought his gavel down once. "This court will come to order." Robyn sat at the defense table, shaking hands, haunted eyes from a sleepless night. Darkness under the eyes betrayed hours of weeping. Her attorney talked in a low tone, but she barely heard him. Her gaze drifted over to the gallery where Kody sat once more, removed quietly, his arms folded tightly, his silence louder than any words. Meri stood up. "Your Honor," she said levelly, "we have proved the existence of the house. We have proved the reason for hiding it. But today we brought in the best evidence of all, the defendant's own words. Words spoken in trust, written in stealth, but words that establish her dishonesty." Gasps swept through the gallery. The reporter leaned forward, cameras lifted, pen scratching with new urgency. The judge leaned back in his chair, squinting. "Proceed." Janelle rose, clutching a small black recorder. The machine itself was ordinary, unremarkable, even fragile, but then it seemed lethal. "This tape," she said, "was recorded from a discussion between Robyn and a person with who she maintained a friendship-quality relationship. It's been certified by the court. What you're about to hear is not rumor, is not slander, but the words of Robyn." The bailiff placed the recorder on the evidence table. A click and crackle filled the air, and then the voice of Robyn, a low, shaking, but unmistakable voice. I can't do this anymore. They'll never get me. I need someplace else, someplace to be safe. If I own that house, I don't need them. I can go at any time." The words tumbled like lightning. Gasps burst out in the gallery. Reporters scribbled madly. Flashes flashed like firecrackers. Robyn's face dropped. No, not that. But the judge raised a hand and she stopped. The tape continued. "If they find out, it's finished. But if they don't, well, I'll always have a way out. I'm not going to be trapped here forever." The static returned. And then nothing. The judge looked over the edge of his glasses, his face carved in stone. "Mrs. Brown," he said slowly, "that was your voice." Robyn's lips trembled. "I didn't say it that way. I was upset, emotional." Her alibis dissolved under the pressure of her own confessions. Meri's voice cut through the den. Her words betray purpose, "Your Honor," not only to conceal, but to escape, to lie, to position herself for abandonment. This wasn't an accident. This was a plot. The gallery burst out again. Some shook their heads in incredulity. Others hissed with furious anger. All eyes seared Robyn, burning as she unraveled. What does it do when your own voice is the weapon that kills you? When the taunts you whispered in the shadows are dragged out into the blinding brilliance of justice? Robyn's words are no longer her armor. They are her executioner, but the recording was only the beginning. The next evidence will hurt even more. The next document was made. Sheets of printed messages. Janelle held them up, her hands tight. These are text messages between Robyn and her realtor, time-stamped, authenticated, and verified. In these, Robyn declares her plans. The judge waved his hand over them and read them into record. Janelle cleared her throat. March 12, 2023, defendant, "I want this house in my name alone. No family ties. This is my sanctuary." The gallery reacted more loudly. Robyn's attorney sprang to his feet. "Your Honor, these are personal messages." The judge overruled him, and they used them in regards to concealing property. Objection overruled. Continue. Janelle's voice went on. March 29, 2023, defendant, "The rest can never learn. If they find out, I'll lose everything. But I don't have the courage to be trapped. This house is mine. The words hung heavy, irrefutable, glass-sharp. Robyn hid her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. The attorney placed a hand on her back and leaned forward, speaking in an urgent whisper, but she shook her head. She knew, everyone knew that her own words had been her ruin. The judge asked, "Do you deny the validity of these messages?" Robyn's voice broke into a shattered whisper. "No, but they're out of context." But the context no longer mattered. The meaning was clear. Meri stood up once more. "Your Honor, when we interviewed Robyn privately, she denied everything. She affirmatively stated that there was no house, no plan, no betrayal. But these words say otherwise. This is not mishearing. This is lying." The gallery whispered again. A woman in the first row whispered, "She lied to everyone. First the home, then the motive, now her own words and voice. Piece by piece, the mask is disintegrating. And behind it, something uglier than everyone imagined." But Meri and Janelle still have work to do because then they discover evidence Robyn never even dared to dream would become public. Her private diary. The courtroom was still when Janelle produced a small leather-bound book. Its cover was tattered, its pages wrinkled from years of opening and closing. Robyn's journal? Robyn's eyes widened, her face pale as a ghost. "No, that's private. You can't." Robyn's lawyer sprang to his feet. "Objection, Your Honor. That's an invasion of privacy." But Meri was already speaking, her words biting, voluntarily provided by a friend to whom Robyn had left it in trust. It is admissions directly relevant to this case. The judge hesitated a moment and then nodded. "Admissible, continue." Meri opened up the journal. Her voice was calm, but each word struck like a sledgehammer. May 5th entry. "Sometimes I have dreams about what life would be like if just me and the kids lived there. No noise, no drama, no Meri, no Janelle, only peace. That house is freedom. I don't care what they think. I deserve it." The gallery gasped again. Reporter pens scratched across pages. Robyn cried harder. Meri read the next entry. Entry July 17th. "They'll say I'm betraying them, that they don't know what happened. I have to look out for myself. If that means leaving them behind, that's okay." The courtroom was shocked into deafening silence. The silence after those words was suffocating, heavy, total. Robyn buried her face in her hands, tears streaming between her fingers. Her lawyer sat motionless, his papers scattered about him. Kody stared blankly before him, his expression stone, his silence more biting than anger. The house was betrayal. Flight was the intention. But the journal reveals something more terrifying, intent. Robyn did not intend for herself only. She wrote, she admitted, she planned to escape. And now each page is a coffin nail for her defense. But there is still one final piece left, and it will quiet the courtroom altogether. The final piece of evidence presented during the day's proceedings was a video clip. Grainy, jerky, recorded late at night. Robyn conferring with a friend on video chat. Her hair disheveled, her voice. "I don't care anymore," she said to her friend. "They're dragging me down. If I have that house, I can just vanish. Let them fight over one another. I'll be free." The courtroom fell silent. No one breathed. No one stirred. The judge leaned forward, his voice grave. "Mrs. Brown, is this you?" Robyn's sob streamed. Her voice cracked. "Yes, but I didn't mean." Her words dangled to silence. The video replayed, the incriminating words echoing, "I'll be free." Meri ended the session with quiet power. "Your Honor, freedom built on lies isn't freedom. It's abandonment, and Robyn abandoned us much earlier than she ever left." The gavel came crashing down. Session adjourned. Her own voice, her own words, her own diary. Robyn is no longer fighting Meri and Janelle. She is fighting herself. But the trial is far from done because in the next episode, the case takes a darker turn. Financial swindle, lying, and a more vile betrayal than the house itself. The fourth day of trial began with a storm already looming in the air. Clouds were dark and puffy, holding up their black heads over the courthouse, their very top with promise of thunder. Inside, the atmosphere was just like the sky, black, explosive, heavy with foreboding. The public had already seen Robyn's house, her motive, her diary, her bedroom secrets. But always lingering in the back of every headline, every hush word in the gallery was the question: how did she do it? How had she financed the secret house? Where was the money from? The solution, Meri and Janelle swore, would shake the courtroom more than any tape or diary. Because this was not merely family treason. This was treason of law. The judge brought his gavel down once. Court is in session. The gallery went silent, every neck strained forward, every pen held poised over paper. Robyn sat stiff, her attorney white with exhaustion already. Her terrors had evaporated, leaving her face smeared and hollow. Kody sat in the gallery once more, arms folded, eyes steely, the air between them as chill as metal. Meri stood, her tone firm but strained. Your Honor, we have shown you the secret house. We have shown you the motive. We have shown you her words, her intent, her betrayal. Intent is but half the blade. Today, we show you the method. Now we demonstrate how Robyn Brown committed outright financial deceit to fund her escape. A shiver of unease stirred through the gallery. Reporters edged closer, salivating. Cameras exploded with fierce bursts of light. The judge inclined his head. Go on. Janelle stood gesturing with the fat binder. Its very weight told the tale before a page was opened. This, she indicated, placing it on the evidence table, is a collection of financial statements of the joint accounts of the family over the last 3 years. Within these pages are the transfers, withdrawal, and manipulations, all executed under the supervision of Robyn Brown. The bailiff handed around copies to the judge. He flipped through, his brow furrowed. Your Honor, Janelle continued, Robyn didn't steal money and stash it. She siphoned it slowly, laboriously, month after month, year after year, until there were thousands of dollars deposited into her hidden account. Money meant for groceries, tuition fees, doctor's bills pilfered to fund a home she lied about not having. The gallery gasped, a wave of shock crashing over the courtroom walls. Robyn's lawyer leapt to his feet. Objection, speculation, but Janelle's voice cut like steel. Not guesses, facts, figures, signatures, transfers. She went to a page that had been marked, holding it up in the air. There are $5,000 transferred on June 3rd, disguised as child expenses, but the funds were deposited into a secret account in Robyn's name. A week later, the same amount was withdrawn in order to pay for a mortgage. The judge read through the papers, his face unchanging, but his silence being damning. Meri stepped forward, her voice stern, her eyes on Robyn. For years, she said there wasn't enough. 4 years, she said we had to tighten our belts, cut back, and while we survived on hardship, she leeched us. Dollar by dollar, lie by lie. Gasps once more. A woman in the back row hissed. She stole from them. Robyn fidgeted in her seat, her cheeks flushed, her eyes watering with unched hairs. Her lips curled and moved, mouthing words no one could quite hear. The secret house was betrayal enough, but the paper trail gets more murky now. Robyn didn't just hide property. She stole, plundered, and gamed. Every dollar was a slice, every withdrawal a betrayal. And the more records delve, the meaner the deceptions. The prosecution's next witness was the Browns' former accountant. The man squirmed and adjusted his glasses as he took the oath, holding a briefcase full of files. Yes, he insisted, voice steady. I managed the Browns' joint finances for years. I always pointed out suspicious transactions and transfers. They were always signed off on by Robyn. When I protested, she informed me the charges were real. Always something nebulous, child care, medical bills, maintenance on the house, but the paper trail told a different story. The judge raised an eyebrow, and you kept this on file. The accountant nodded firmly. Every transfer, every discrepancy, it's all here. He pushed forward a stack of folders. Janelle threw them open, revealing page after page of Redland transactions. Here she said Robyn made duplicate expense accounts, charged the family account twice for an item, pocketed the difference. Here she overbilled medical expenses by thousands. When the actual bill was half the price, the surplus vanished into her personal account. The gallery churned angrily. Reporters wrote. Cameras flashed. Whispers became frenzied. Robyn's attorney attempted to object again, but the proof gagged him before the judge could. Robyn's head fell, her hair cascading like a curtain in front of her face. Her shoulders shook. Meri's voice cut into the silence, told her she was struggling, told her we all had to make a sacrifice. But she wasn't struggling. She was hoarding, not for the family, for herself. The accountant stepped back. The damage was done. The judge looked at Robyn, his face etched in granite. Do you discredit these transfers, Mrs. Brown? Her voice cracked. I had motive, I believed. But her words fell apart under the weight of numbers. Numbers don't lie. For every excuse, a receipt. For every denial, a signature. Robyn's treachery is no longer rumor and doubt. It's arithmetic. It's ink. It's evidence. And yet, the darkest discovery lies secreted in the files. An account that no one knew existed. Janelle flipped to the back of the binder. Your Honor, the most damning proof lies before you. A secret account under Robyn's maiden name that was opened 2 years ago. Free of family oversight, sustained entirely by funds stolen. The balance $137,000, the courtroom exploded. Gasps, outcries, wails of incredulity. The gavel sounded again and again, order, order in the court. But nothing halted the storm in the gallery. Robyn's lawyer took a step back, his face pale. Robyn's own hands flew to her lips and she stood staring aghast. Kody's face contorted with fury at last, and he leaned forward, his voice rent the silence. You lied to me. The words cut more cuttingly than the gavel. Robyn's tears burst forth, her head shaking furiously. I was saving for us, for the children, for when it all went wrong, but nobody believed her. Meri took a step forward, her voice frosty cold. You didn't save for us. You saved to abandon us. The phrases were like a sledgehammer, destroying what little composure Robyn had left. The house was a secret. The diary was resolute. But this covert saving scheme was survival. Robyn didn't just build an exit. She funded it, powered it, and lied to everyone in order to keep it afloat. And as the figures get more and more sinister, the courtroom gets ready for the next strike, charges of fraud. The prosecutor summoned one final witness for the day, a bank detective. Your Honor, the detective testified. Our study shows deliberate misrepresentation. The defendant deceived check notes, exploited joint accounts, and concealed assets. By definition, that is fraud. The audience exploded again. Fraud. The word hung there in the air. Robyn's lawyer objected indignantly. Objection! The defendant was in a state of emotional distress. She didn't. The judge raised his hand to stop him. Emotional distress does not excuse fraud. Sit down. Robyn sobbed into the silence. Ragged and raw, she clutched at her lawyer's cuff, begging, pleading, but his eyes told the truth. The defense was weakening. Meri and Janelle stood together, quiet, together, their faces serene, but intense. This wasn't victory, not yet. But this was justice unfolding before them. The judge looked down at Robyn. His voice halted. Those charges no longer entail anything as tame as breach of trust. They entail the law. And if the charges stick, Mrs. Brown, the penalty will be harsh. The gavel came down. Court is adjourned for today. The house was the beginning. The reason was betrayal. The words betrayed purpose. But now the money speaks the truth. Robyn's scam was not personal. It was criminal. And in the following episode, when fraud charges loom ahead, the courtroom will discover just how far-reaching her lies actually go. The fifth trial session opened under a cloud of suspense more ponderous than courthouse walls themselves. Now, the case had grown from whispers of betrayal into an outright scandal. The steps of the courthouse were filled with crowds, sidewalks packed with reporters, and security guards kept at bay, cameras and microphones as the tale careened into national news. Standing room only filled the gallery. Strangers stood shoulder to shoulder with reporters waiting for their next expose. The rumor mill no longer wondered if Robyn was guilty. They wondered how bad it would get. Robyn Brown slipped in, her body hunched, her gait uncertain. She was no longer clad in the newness of opening day. Her makeup was washed out, her hair matted, her eyes circled red from incessant tears. She was no longer defendant, but a woman swept into a storm she could no longer control. Her lawyer led the way, his face pale, his mouth compressed into a line.